The SAT has been asking more about the way that we solve triangles recently. They're asking things like, what I would consider geometry proofs. If you ever did that in school, you probably hated those. But they're asking questions that are similar to those. Obviously, they can't have you do a full proof, but the logic is the same. The knowledge is very similar. So we're kind of dealing with that here. Um, I think this is a very poorly worded question. For my thinking about this, I just really I can't believe that this question got past their editors. So I'll explain why in a second. My general advice, though, is try your best to not have to think about this just purely abstractly, purely logically. Try to see what's going on here. So show your work, even for something like this that is a very conceptual question. Prove your answer. Visualize what's happening. So in order to do that, if we wanted to determine AB, right, so x, what would happen if we had the length of AC? So, okay, put something there. Just like, it doesn't matter, just like make something up. So like 10. And now think about it. Like seeing a number there, what would you do? If the question were purely a triangle with an x on that side and a 10 and a 25, would you know how to solve that? Hopefully you would recognize, oh yeah, that's a squared plus b squared equals c squared, Pythagorean theorem, which is given to you at the beginning of the section. So you can always go back and kind of look through that menu of geometry formulas, see if anything triggers this. So that's good, that's there. So there you go. If we had that, then we would be able to solve for x, because x could either be a or b, and we'd have 2 out of the 3 letters, and we'd be able to solve. Not going to bother doing it. I have the calculator, I could, but I'm not going to bother doing it because they're not asking for the value. They're just asking if that's enough to get it for me. So for angle ABC, we're going to have to try to, you could erase, if this were your test, you could erase the 10 so that you can more clearly see a kind of blank triangle. You could redraw it if you wanted. I'm just going to use a different color. So ABC is this angle here. So if I had that, and let's just say it's 40 degrees, could I find x? Well, this is not listed in the beginning formula sheet, but you're going to have to use it in all sorts of places on the SAT. This is trigonometry, basic trigonometry, right? So how would I do this? Well, I know I have the hypotenuse, and that x is the adjacent side. So using SOHCAHTOA, I would know to use cosine. So cosine of 40 in this case would be x over 25. And I could use the calculator and I could find actually what x is. I'm not going to do it, but I could. And so there you go. Now I have proof that either of these two things is enough to get the other one. So that's choice C. It matches with C, and that is the answer. Personally, I just kind of find the wording confusing. It's a little bit like the question makes it seem like maybe they want both of these things together to be the information that you're given. It's unclear, I think, in their wording, whether they want you to consider both 1 and 2 together or separately in order to figure out the value of AB. So if the wording of the question confused you, hopefully they just kind of fix this. This is just messy. But in terms of the content of the question, this is basic geometry that we've seen on many other SAT questions, except they're not asking you to solve using these formulas. They're just asking you to remember that they exist and what their purpose is. That's harder, ironically, because when you have a formula, you're kind of robotic. You're just like going through, okay, this goes in this place, this gets plugged in here, and you're just doing the work. Here you have to think about why that work is necessary, and that's difficult. But I think it's easier if you can see a problem the same way you would if you did need to solve, right? So maybe we're doing a little bit of an arithmetize here, but try to see what it would mean to have the length of AC, to have the measure of angle ABC. Draw those triangles and see what it would be like. What would you do if that were the only thing you were given? Your teacher would expect you to solve for X, and in both cases you'd be able to. Show your work. Anything that goes on up here, you really want it to be on the page. That's number one show your work rule for the entire SAT.